Have you ever been curious what a hospital pharmacist does in order to prepare for their IPPE students? If you haven't, I'm not exactly sure why you're here, but welcome. But today, that's exactly what I'm going to show you. I've been precepting for a couple years now. I've taken like 7 or 8 different students, and I've changed my approach to APPE versus IPPE students. So if you are not familiar with those terms, IPPE is Introductory Pharmacy Practice Experience, and APPE is Advanced Pharmacy Practice Experience. And so as a preceptor, my job is to really guide students and help facilitate their learning in whatever area they are in. So for an IPPE student, my focus is really helping them understand what it's like to work in a hospital. And this is how I prepare my rotation in order to do that. So number 1 starts with the email reach out. So when a student is assigned to me, they are going to reach out first. I expect to get an email from them, not the other way around. However, I do have an email template that is ready to go once I do receive their email. Of course, I will answer anything specific that they ask that is geared towards them. So if they need a specific day off, or if they have a question that's not included in my standard email. But here are the things that I include. Hint, if you're going to email your preceptor, ask these things. What days and hours you are going to be there, what the dress code is, where to park, where to meet on the first day, if there's any additional paperwork that you need or badge access things that need to be done. I let them know what kind of readings need to be done ahead of time. Typically for my IPPEs there's nothing, but sometimes there is for our APPE students. I also let them know about their access to computer usage while they are at the hospital. And lastly, I always ask for my students' CV and to answer a few questions to help me understand them better and what their experience level is coming into the rotation. I also want to know what 3 goals they have for the rotation, what their career goals are, or what kind of additional training they're thinking about pursuing after graduation. So if they're interested in residency or fellowships, how can I gear the rotation to help meet their needs? And then lastly, I also ask about their clinical areas of interest. And for APPEs, this is a lot more important because I'm really going to focus hard in those areas because it's a clinical rotation. Versus an IPPE is really just learning what a hospital is like. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a taste of what a topic discussion looks like in an APPE setting, but it's not going to be nearly as in-depth or hardcore as what I'm going to do with a student who has already went through all of their didactic training. So once they reply back, I go through all of that information they give me and then set up their calendar. So all of my students get a paper calendar just like this one. I have it color-coded based on what is due when. And because this rotation is so short, so it's a 3-week rotation normally, but I technically get them for a week and a half because I do 7 on, 7 off, and they're doing overnights with me and just doing longer shifts. So we have a topic discussion every day. I also have due dates for all of their projects that they have to do for the school, when we're going to have our midpoint and final evaluations. The last day we always do some sort of takeout day, so sometimes people don't like to eat on the rotation, so we just get crumble cookies. Sometimes we order pizza. There's really not a whole lot of options in the middle of the night, so that's really one of the 2 things that we do. But I try my best because it's fun to do that sort of stuff. So I have everything lined out, ready to go for my student. And then for each of the topic discussions that we have set already, I create a reading list for them. So anything, if you guys can see this paper that is in blue, is a direct link, so they're going to get an emailed version of this as well, so they can go straight to that link. I use a lot of TLDR pharmacy resources for this rotation in particular. I don't use it as much for my APPE students because a lot of the times I'm doing more primary literature articles or review articles directly from a textbook, but for IPPEs this is perfect. I would say that's one of the biggest differences as far as the topic discussions go, is that there is some baseline clinical knowledge, a lot more baseline clinical knowledge for a advanced pharmacy practice experience student versus a IPPE student. So these are just general overviews, and then I will kind of gauge based on their response how far in depth that I can go with them. That varies between student, and that's totally okay. I am there to help the learner and facilitate learning. I'm a resource for the student, and so that's kind of how I view my rotation, is that I'm there to help the student along the way and meet them where they are to get them where they want to go. But anything that needs to be printed off, I print off for them, and then I create their binder. So all of my students get one of these. I have a binder, I have all of the dividers set out, and I put in all of the protocols that they need to have access to. So like our pharmacy dosing service protocols are in there. I have all of the articles that I need them to read during that month. If there's any additional information that I think that they need to have, I will also put that here. So for example, for my APPE students in particular, they typically have a topic discussion. They have topic discussions. I mean they have a guideline review. Those are very different things. Anyway, they have a guideline review, and so oftentimes if there's one in particular that we really need done or reviewed, then I will go ahead and print off the guideline that we need them to review and put it in the binder as well. So the binder is really the last step that I do before the student comes, but like I said, today is my student's first day on rotation, and so I just wanted to give you guys an overview of what the first day looks like. For me as a preceptor, my main objective from the first day is to get you kind of situated as a student in our hospital, making sure you have badge access. If you don't, sending emails out to get that, making sure you have computer access, helping figure out how to get that to happen. There is always technology issues. It's just going to happen. Expect it, and if it doesn't happen, that's a pleasant surprise, but 9 times out of 10 it's going to. Also realize that usually you're starting on somebody's Monday or the first day of their week, and it's going to probably be a little bit chaotic. Be as patient as possible. There's going to be time at some point in the day that they're going to sit down with you and explain what's going on the rotation. When I sit down with my students, when I go over the binder, the reading list, the topic discussions, everything they're going to do on the rotation. This is where I set expectations. So what are my expectations for topic discussions? What are my goals for the student? And what they can expect throughout the rotation. I really am going to try to make sure that the student and I are on the same page. And so if you are a student watching this and you feel like you've not been on the same page as your preceptor, right off the bat is when you need to get on that same page. And if at any point you feel like you're not, you need to ask them. Bring it up, ask questions, make sure you know what to expect moving forward in the rotation from the get-go. This is especially important in IPPE rotations, which are usually a little bit shorter, and you don't have a lot of time to not know what you're doing. You need to know right off the bat. I also usually give a tour on that day so the student can get somewhat familiar with the hospital, but it's okay if you get lost. I frequently would get lost. I still frequently get lost, just not in the hospital. But sometimes. It's okay, just ask around, somebody will help you find the pharmacy, and just relax. I think it's important to remember that if you have a non-faculty preceptor, that preceptor is completely volunteer. I get absolutely no compensation for taking on students. I do it because I want to. I want to give back to the profession, and I want to help students as they become pharmacists. I love teaching. So your preceptors are not your enemies. They're there because they want to help you, so give them every opportunity to help you. Ask questions. Let them know what your future goals are. But remember, if you are interested in an area that they are maybe not versed in or not familiar with, be very clear that you are looking for ways to use the information on your rotation to make you a better pharmacist in whatever field you're interested in. So for example, I'm not versed in industry, but I can help the student by talking about some of the things that we do on the hospital side that relates to industry, such as like investigational drug. If a student doesn't tell me that that's their interest, I won't tie those things in. So be as upfront and honest as possible. Be ready to learn, be engaged, and you're going to enjoy your rotations. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any other questions about these types of rotations and what it's like to be a preceptor on the other side. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!